Welcome to the podcast, everyone. This week, we are going to be talking about something that is seasonally appropriate for what a lot of our clients and a lot of the people we work with are going into. It's a specific season where there are a lot of sales kickoffs, otherwise known as SKOs, and big partner conferences, whether you're with Microsoft or SAP or other Meta, like all these different huge organizations, they have these big conferences. And there's some amazing opportunities that our clients have when they're learning how to do storytelling with us. And sometimes they specifically come to us when this season comes up because of the fact that they want to learn how to tell their story from the stage, whether that stage is in person in front of hundreds or even thousands of people, like we've helped people with before, or whether it's one of these virtual events, which are obviously since the pandemic have only grown. And some of them are hybrid both ways. Sometimes you might be presenting to thousands of people virtually in front of your own computer or at a studio in front of a green screen, or you might be doing it actually from the stage. And whichever thing you might be doing, if you want to tell an engaging story, if you want your story to be the one that people talk about afterwards, and let's be honest, everybody wants that, right? You want to be able to do a great job for your audience so that they feel motivated to go and take action or be inspired by some of the things that you told them. That's what we all want in our heart of hearts, right? Is to be able to serve people to such a degree that they feel inspired to do something or to think of things in a different way. And so I want to help you today to learn how to make your story more interesting, because so many people are concerned with that. Like, oh, how do I engage my audience? How do I grab their attention right away? How do I make sure that it's not boring? And we can get so wrapped up in our head and worry about this that it distracts us from our message and from connecting with our audience. And that's not something I want for you. And it's something that's super common, super normal to be worried about. But for me, because of my background, any of those of you who've been listening or have worked with me in the past, you know that one of the reasons that I got into the entertainment industry or, started a production company now where we work for marketing for all kinds of enterprise software companies and all kinds of businesses all over the world, or whether we're doing our coaching with them as well. The reason that I got into this was because I have a master's in acting and directing and performance. And so these things may seem normal and intuitive to me, but I know from experience when I'm working with people that are non-performers, some of this stuff is brand new to you. And of course it is, because you didn't spend years and years training on this. And I have some knowledge that I want to bring to the forefront for you today that will help you. If you want to communicate a story and grab people's attention, I'm going to help you with that. And I think the best way for me to tell this story is to actually tell you a story about a specific kind of training method that actors often go through. Some of you might have heard of the method, and they talk about it sometimes when, there's an interview in People magazine or, Variety magazine or something like that. And they're talking about a movie that was just released and they want to ask that actor like Christian Bale or someone like that, like, how did you get into character? Or Daniel Day-Lewis is fairly famous for this as well, or Robert De Niro or Dustin Hoffman. They talk about like their process and that they might be a method actor. And so what does that mean to be a method actor? Now, the method is actually just a common term that performers and directors and everyone that's in their entertainment industry uses in order to convey a specific school of thought, an approach to acting that's called the method. And Anton Stanislavski was the name of the person that kind of codified this and has a book called An Actor Prepares. And it's a book that's been in circulation since, I believe, the late 40s or early 50s, when it became very, very popular and kind of changing the game as far as how actors processed and prepared their characters. Before that, it had been very, very formal. And in this book, they use a story of a new actor that is getting on stage and learning and starting to learn how to be an actor for the first time. And this actor goes up onto the stage, and their first assignment from their teacher is to go on stage and just sit there and just be present while everyone's looking at you. Okay. Now, this actor goes up on stage, and as soon as the actor goes up on stage, like many of us, this new performer starts to feel very watched. Anytime something that starts to be observed, the behavior of that thing can't help but being changed, right? So if you're by yourself doing something, it's very natural for you to just be yourself, quote unquote. But as soon as we know we're being observed, much like when we are giving a story or a presentation or a demo or having a big keynote speech, when people are watching us, it becomes different. We become aware of our hands and our speech patterns. And if we're stuttering on our words or having trouble finding the right word choice or not, walking in weird patterns or things like that, we start to get wrapped up in all this because we know we're being observed and our body feels like it's being judged. And so our lizard brain starts to kick in, right? Fight or flight. And so that can make it harder for you, even harder for you to tell your story. So that's kind of what's going on in the background. And in this story, this actor got on the stage and felt very, very, their job was just to sit there and just pretend that no one was there and just act naturally. But that performer found out that once you're on stage and you're being observed, being natural is really hard because you're being observed. And so when the actor gets off the stage and is, feeling very dispirited and feeling like they didn't do a good job and like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Like, I don't understand. Maybe I'm not going to be a good actor. The teacher gently lets them know that, the reason that you feel that way is because you felt the desire, the need while you were being observed to be interesting. That because you were being observed, that you needed to perform for us, that you needed to be interesting. And so when your brain is focused on being interesting, it's very hard for you to relax, to come off as authentic, and for you to connect with your material. Because you're concerned with yourself. You're self-focused on you being interesting and doing a good job. Now, the way to change this, the teacher teaches this new student, is to not try and be interesting, but to just simply be interested. Be interested in what you are doing. This can be as simple as finding a piece of lint on the ground and just being, playing with it. Or a piece of string and playing with it and seeing the different ways that you can wrap it around your finger and like do things like that. Moments when we think we're not being observed, it's much easier for your brain when it has an activity to do or you're interested in something, when you're fascinated by something. And as audience members, we love watching and listening to people that are passionately curious, that are fascinated, that are interested in a topic and want to share it with us. Crazy, right? It seems simple, but it takes practice. But it can really be that easy that you can just be interested in something. Now, as you're preparing your topic for your speech, for your presentation, for your story, for your demo, for that big pitch that's coming up, think about what aspects of it you are passionate about that are interesting to you. Because your voice, your vocal tone, your vocal range, your body language, your expressions on your face, your pacing for your language, your everything about you will become stronger, more convincing, more authentic, and more engaging for your audience when you are interested in something. So think about your topic, what you're talking about, your material itself that you want to convey to the audience, and just be interested and share your interest with them. Go, I just found this cool thing. I really want to tell you about it. I thought this way about it, but it's actually this way. Let me tell you how and how that journey worked. So much more engaging, right? So much like a new actor that's preparing to do something like this, you can apply this very same logic to any topic that you're doing, because you can find some aspect of it that you find curiosity-inducing, that you find engaging, that you like in particular. You can find an angle on it that you like, that is helpful for you in some way, a story that helped you. That's why you learned about it and that you want to tell your audience about it now. So speaking from the stage or at a virtual event, just remember, don't be interesting. Don't try to be interesting. Just be interested. Even say that to yourself right before you take the stage or turn on the camera. It will help so much. So I wanted to give you something even a little more concrete. As I've talked about this. And this is something that I haven't actually shared before outside of a paid session. So you're getting something very high value right now. But this is just the beginning, the first 3 steps in our multi-step process when we are helping. We have a template to help people specifically when they're getting ready for a big keynote. So when we do a coaching session with them, we give this template, we help you adapt your material to it. And that way it makes it so much easier for you to remember and deliver in a very engaging way so that people are interested because you're interested. So this is the first part of it. A lot of you have heard me talk about the T3 technique that we teach. Tease, tell, told. It's just basic structure that we use with lots of different things, whether it's storytelling in video or storytelling at a demo or a presentation or a big keynote. But here are the first 3 steps that we use, okay? And it's really all about moving from the ordinary to the extraordinary. Taking something that could have been in the ordinary world, or taking your audience where they are right now. They're in the ordinary world, but now they're about to listen to you, and you're going to take them into the extraordinary. Whatever that is, whatever your topic is, you need to believe that it is extraordinary in some way. So ordinary to extraordinary. And here's what you're doing. It's part of the tease. So it's part of what we like to talk about as far as a centered story, a more heart-centered story. And the first part of it, of the 3 parts, is I'm just like you. I've thought like you. I've worried about some of the same things that you've done. And I've definitely been in your situation before. I've walked in your shoes. All right? That's the first part of it. So you identify. They can identify with you. So you bring them in with a story that's, hey, I definitely have thought this way about this topic before. And I worried about this aspect of it, like many of you have. So you're identifying with them, you're bringing them in. You're making a connection that you have a connection already with them and that you're bringing them along on the journey. That's step 1. Step 2 is just the next logical step, which is I have a solution to the problem that you have. That thing I just talked about, that I've been in the same situation you have. I have a solution, an aspect of this that I really want to tell you about. I figured out something that you're struggling with. Because like I said, I struggled with it as well, and I figured it out. And I want to tell you. This builds the excitement, why they want to listen to you. You're going to help them get a result. You're going to help them solve a problem that they might have, that a large portion of the audience might have in common with you. Okay, now this seems like it's worth my time as an audience member. I want to lean in. I want to know more about this. Which leads to step 3, which is you're going to show your why. You're going to be a little bit vulnerable, and you're going to take, and this is something we work on. This third part, like it takes a bit of work to do, but it's worth it. You find a part of your own journey, your own hero's journey, your own why, and you connect to it, to this topic. You put it in the first person. You tell them a story about your why, of why you decided to solve this problem. You make it, add a little bit of vulnerability to it. Let them see a slice of your life, or that of a family member, or that of a friend, or someone that you know, where this topic impacted them or impacted you. And it should be personal and specific. So that's the first 3 steps. That would be a great way for any of you to have an intro into the story that you're telling at your next keynote, presentation you have to give virtually or in person, that you start out that way. It will really help set the stage for you not to have to worry about being interesting, because you're just showing them how you were interested because you were like them, you had a problem just like them, and you were able to solve it. And here's a story about how that problem unfolded for you and how you were able to get to a different result, and you're going to help them do the same thing. And then from there, we have other steps that we do, like transitioning to your actual content that you're teaching or anything like that. That's more tactical. But this will give you a great start for being able to tell your story in an engaging way and help you stay out of that headspace of feeling like you have to be interesting. Because guess what? You're already interesting. You're a human being with experiences, and you're going to get up on stage and you're going to share them with us so that you can make our life better and make us feel better in the end. That is already very interesting. So don't feel like you have to put on any airs of being interesting. All you have to do is be interested, be fascinated in your topic, in the way that you move, the way that you talk, the way that you speak, in your facial expressions. And I promise you, your audience will not be able to look away, and your presentation, your demo, your story, your keynote will be the one that everyone is talking about later on. All right, my friends, thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next week.